Welcome to another Midweek with Max. This is Rick, joined by JCV and Jeremy, and of course, our co-founder, Max Sanchez. Joshua is in attendance, but is not allowed to speak anymore due to Discord and Australia. So, so that trend is still continuing.
Wait,
And
so Rick, that means we can say anything we want about Australia, and Joshua can't chime in.
Discord. You can say anything you want about Discord too.
Ugh. I'm just going to file that away.
Yeah, it's the big three. It's the things people tell you not to talk about at bars: Discord, Joshua, and Australia. But anyway,
Yeah.
without further ado, let me kick it over to Max for weekly updates.
All right, awesome. Apologies, I do have a little bit of background noise, and it's a long-running GPU test that I can't really turn off without losing much of work. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. As far as weekly updates, let's see. Making a lot of progress on the MinerFi/Fast Bridge, or whatever we end up calling it from a branding perspective. So we got, as I was talking about last week, the threshold signature library updated with a bunch of changes and improvements. That is live and open source if anyone's curious and wants to take a look at it. Right now we're working on some updates to the Continuum daemon for the on-chain integration with our new ZK proving system that makes the entire system attributable or fault attributable on-chain. And so working through testing that and trying to simplify that integration a little bit. We're also working on some veHEMI updates. So we got a minimal shared economic security / restaking system that we're currently working on testing and integrating into the rest of our services that are going to consume it as security clients of the veHEMI system. And so there's from a kind of general structure sense, the way the first version is going to work is you can restake up to 64 veHEMI positions into one restaking group, and then you can use that restaking group to go and join different protocols that are buying economic security. So it'll be starting with the MinerFi/FastBridge system, and then later on be used for HBitVM covenant emulation, HBitVM operators, shared sequencing, the future shared DA system for Chain Builder. So as each of those launches, it'll plug into that multi-veHEMI position restaking system. And then we'll also, at some point, open that up as well to people who want to build other projects in the space around it, as using it as a economic security layer. So working on, we're going to be sending that off to audit shortly here once we finish up with testing. Beyond that, also making progress on the ZK provability side. So we've been making a lot of updates to OpReth, both in support of ZK provability and also for replacing opgeth, since opgeth is going to be deprecated by the Optimism project by the end of May. So realistically, sometime in June or July, when there's an Ethereum upgrade, it is going to stop working. So we're making updates starting with a Rust implementation of TBC called Trust. And so we've been working on that, and also the other OpReth updates to make it compatible with all of the Hemi protocol changes, like the HVM precompile calls, the Bitcoin attributes deposited and pop payout transaction types, and stuff of that nature. So moving along on that side. And then we've also, we did a live stream on Friday going over sort of ZK proving marketplaces, the current economy for ZK proofs and things of that nature. And that funnels into another product we're building on the Hemi chain, which is a ZK prover marketplace that is prover system agnostic. So it works with RISC-0, SP1, OpenVM, Airbender, Jolt once Jolt gets into production. And so it acts primarily as a substrate for us to be able to incentivize ZK proving for everything we need on the Hemi network. So that's ZK aggregated proofs for the MinerFi system, ZK proofs of the Hemi network end-to-end for Ethereum settlement, and also in the future HBitVM settlement, and other things that come along. But also we're making it a generic ZK prover marketplace that anyone can interact in. So anyone who's building apps either on the Hemi network or other chains who wants to automatically incentivize ZK proving of some parts of the protocol, they can easily plug into that ZK prover marketplace and buy whatever ZK proofs they need for their protocol. So we're designing that as a permissionless sort of open-ended system where proof validity is defined by the outcomes of the proof rather than defining the inputs or the witness that's fed into the proof. And so it makes it a lot more composable in DeFi versus what other ZK prover marketplaces are doing, where you still have a centralized point of failure and then need to run some sort of coordinator daemon that constructs ZK proof witnesses rather than just being able to define proof outcome like the ZK proof using this program that outputs a state transition proof from this Ethereum block to that Ethereum block, which makes it a lot easier to, again, interact with programmatically because smart contracts generally don't have the data, nor would it be gas efficient for them to be able to actually construct on-chain the entire witness. Usually witnesses are very large and need to be posted to IPFS or similar, and so the system still supports that use case, but also makes it much easier to do that more DeFi native integration of ZK proving, where a smart contract can automatically submit proof requests without having to have the capability of serializing the witness on chain, which again is usually impossible or at the very least impractical. So that's the major stuff. We are going to get the pot payouts algorithm deployed here shortly. We had some of our DevOps team out last week, so that got delayed a bit, but we are going to be getting that out there very shortly. We also do have some interesting stuff coming up in the stablecoin space. So can't share any more details on that yet, but stay tuned for hopefully an interesting announcement over the next couple weeks here. And I think with that, we will turn it over to Rick and we can start going through questions. And again, apologies for the background noise. Can you hear me okay?
You sound fantastic. I don't hear anything background-wise.
Okay, perfect. I can barely hear myself, so that's a testament to this mic.
Yeah, it's a hell of a mic. Is your ZK proof ZK proving?
It is.
That's fantastic.
That's why it's so loud. So I'm glad you guys can't hear that.
If we can hear you, Max, it means you need more GPUs.
I will never pass up an opportunity to or an excuse to buy more GPUs. So
All right, let's see where we are at. All right. Poison, Kundi, and a couple other folks have asked the same question in the channel, and so I'm going to lump them all together. When will the VBK distribution happen, since the registration began 3 months ago?
it is still coming. I can't put a exact date on the calendar yet, but it is still coming for sure. So stay tuned, and as soon as we have an actual date for it, we will announce it.
Next question that had a couple folks also asking, is there an update regarding Plotus? I don't know. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. But anyway, is there an update regarding them, and can an official announcement be made shortly?
Yeah, we pretty much finished our investigation. We still need to get everything formatted nicely so people can actually understand it. So we're working on doing that this week. There's not a major smoking gun from like a, actual person or legal entity to likely go after, but we're going to put everything that we found from the on-chain investigation, some of the tentative links through Tornado Cash that may be potential candidates to investigate further together. So if people want to file reports with law enforcement or anything like that, they at least have all of the on-chain evidence that we were able to collect. So it is coming shortly. It's just a matter of getting everything formatted and easy to understand instead of crazy scribbled notes on a corkboard.
I thought you were going to say cocktail napkin. I'm glad you went with corkboard. I was like, ooh, that might not fly. I'm just kidding. Sorry. All right.
Hey, don't assume no cocktail napkins because I haven't had my run of the document yet.
That's fair. All right. Why has the APR on veHEMI staken falling from 20% to 2% over the last few days?
Not sure what APR calculation you're looking at. Part of the APR calculation is based on the position length. And so if you had a position that, say, a 6-month position, and you looked at the yield when the position was first created, and then you looked at it 3 months later, it's going to have half the staking weight that it did originally. So part of that could be due to position decay. Part of that could be due to the last distribution we did was slightly smaller per day based on just on-chain fee activity. somewhat driven by on-chain activity, but also somewhat driven by just lower DA fees on Ethereum as well. So the extra fee buffer that's baked in by the protocol for paying for Ethereum DA publications is also lower. And that buffer usually goes into the veHEMI reward distribution as well. So probably a mix of the two. Going forward for veHEMI, obviously we're going to keep doing distributions like we have so far from chain fees that have been collected. But the main future revenue source is going to be as we launch these new decentralized portions of the protocol, the miner-fi fast bridge, the decentralized sequencing, things of that nature, HBVM covenant emulation. Those will also drive fees to the Hemi stakers who are participating in those protocols. So longer term, that's going to be the majority of the APY, and it's going to be based on which parts of the protocol you participate in. Short term, going to keep doing the chain fee distributions as usual. Probably the next one in the next 1 to 2 weeks here. I think by mid-April is our target. And we'll get updated APY numbers based on the latest chain revenue. But again, a large portion of that's probably also due to position decay.
All right. What is the status of Hemi Station?
I think that might be a good one. Actually, before we do that real quick, Alex just posted a screenshot in chat of the APY he's talking about. So yeah, that looks like there's a display issue then on the front end. It might be not pulling in recent chain data. So we'll take a look at that. All right, sorry, back to Hemi Station. Rick, I don't know if you have any updates on that. We have been doing there's kind of a lot of different community initiatives in the work, and I'm not sure what exactly we're grouping under Hemi Station at the moment, but some interesting things coming, but I'll turn it over to Rick if he has anything to comment on.
As far as community initiatives go, there is a lot in the pipeline happening, I will say, this month. John, is that fair?
I think that is very fair.
Okay. So happening this month.
And not in I think that's optimistic and then in a good way. Like, I'm optimistic about your optimism.
Well, I appreciate the hell out of that. Thank you. As far as Hemi Station as an entity, there isn't a ton of updates. The last was I had sent over all the community notes regarding Hemi Station from the channel directly to Jeff, and I'm just waiting to hear back regarding that. But beyond Hemi Station, we are going to be doing a major shift in community. I'm trying very hard not to give anything away. And that's going to...
I know where you live. Don't fuck it up.
I know, and that's going to coincide with things like the launch of Hemi Guild and some other things that we are rapidly getting close to the finish line on. So I am hoping that within the next week or two, I'll have a more robust update. But regardless, expect some major community news coming this month, including Hemi Guild. And that brings us to when OG roll.
We still do not have an updated timeline for the OG roll, so most of the team's effort is spent on the opget or the rest rebase of opget that we're having to do on a pretty tight deadline, as well as the other stuff we're trying to ship. So the priority of that from an engineering side has shifted back. We don't have an updated date yet, but as soon as we have them, we'll share it. There's only a few components that need to be finished, but they need to be done correctly. And we're also discussing some slight changes to the incentives to give people who meet more than 3 of the criteria a little extra bonus. So that also requires a little bit of additional engineering work to do. So coming soon, but we don't have an exact date to announce quite yet. And again, apologies for the delay. I know it's been delayed a lot, but we are a relatively small team and we have a lot of large engineering items that we have to tackle. And so things like that do end up getting shifted back in the timeline as we need to actually keep the chain running and large features that are going to bring users to the chain. So it is in progress. It's still a priority, but don't have an exact date.
All right. I believe this was briefly covered at the top, but if there's anything else you want to add, Lutasio asks, when will the new pop payout algorithm be launched on mainnet, and can it be prioritized?
Yeah, we had pretty limited DevOps resources last week, so we weren't able to get it shipped last week, but it should be shipping this week. So everything's ready. It's just a matter of DevOps priority, and then also, obviously, whenever we ship an update to mainnet, we need people watching it and monitoring it for a day or two afterwards to make sure everything's looking good. So, but we should be getting that done finally this week.
Coming in from Alpha. Oh, I'm shocked it's not AI related. All right. When do you think this memory shortage hell will end? Will it ever end? Or could it be intentionally created?
Tell me about it. I'm trying to build machines to do ZK testing, and RAM is the limiting factor at the moment. I mean, as with everything, it'll eventually end. It's not the first time we've seen ridiculous, either AI or back in the day, proof of work mining demand on hardware that makes it, 2, 3, 4x in price. There's also, not pointing any fingers, but supposedly potentially price fixing and manipulation beyond just the AI letters of intent, if you will, intending to purchase, half the global DRAM supply. So we'll see. Do not have any unique insights on that, but that's for the future of cost-effective ZK proving. Hopefully, it goes down in the relatively near future.
I can't build my gaming rig.
Yeah, I'm having trouble updating my gaming rig because of all this freaking AI. And my gaming rig is like literally on death's door, so I'm not a happy camper. AI needs to slow the hell down. We need another AI happy hour because I have a lot of things to say ever since I figured out I can't get a really good graphic card.
We can do it this week.
I mean, I could drink about and bitch about AI this week. I have no qualms with that.
It's scheduled.
All right. Pop it on. Kick me an invite.
If I could get to my refrigerator, I'd be happy to drink right now.
That's the
But there,
spirit.
but there is no floor in front of my refrigerator, so that is not an option for me.
And this is why the virtues of planning and foresight should go into every, drink.
So, I have a question that is a bit of a follow-up from last week, but for folks who couldn't join or didn't see the replay, I was wondering if we could address this, even in brief. It shows Hemi revenue is nothing. Why is this happening?
That's a data issue on the DeFiLlama side, so I don't know the exact cause of it. I believe we've pinged them about it, so I don't have any update beyond they're just not pulling correct data from onchain for whatever reason, and we've had issues with DeFiLlama data in the past, so it's not a new thing, but we are trying to get it resolved.
Certainly not our first rodeo with DeFiLlama. Let's just say that. Let's see. Luctatio asks, when will it be possible for pop miners to swap pop points to Hemi tokens and unlock previously locked tokens from pop points?
That should be done as part of the new pop payouts update. So that should be coming this week as soon as we can get everything shipped properly.
All right. Let's see. I am not seeing any further questions. While I continue to look, Jeremy, do you have anything from the marketing side you'd like to share with the Amigos?
I have some fun announcements with some partnerships that I cannot divulge yet, but stay tuned for those this week. And otherwise, we've been building out a lot of different things in our marketing department so that we can get to you on more screens and have more content in front of you. And we're continuing to do that. So we look forward to it. And if you guys have any suggestions and stuff for us, go ahead and drop them in any of the AMAs that we're going to be having. And love to see you, love to see you pulling up. So thank you. Thank you for all of it.
All right. Let's see. I just lost the question channel. That's fun. Oh no, here we go. Okay. Sorry. From Mudakon. Oh, Mudakon, also congrats on getting the builder role. We love to see you in there. There's going to be a lot more activity in that channel. So anyone interested in getting the builder role, now would be a great time to get the builder role. I don't know where else I was going with that. But here is the question. It is labeled as serious question. Okay. Is Hemi utilizing parallel sessions for agentic AI development? Each agent should be updating modules nearly 24/7.
Interesting question. Short answer, no, we don't have any autonomous 24/7 AI that's making code changes, and for very good reason. For the kind of stuff that we're building, it needs to be human reviewed, very carefully planned. So even if we're using AI, it's, using it as a assistant to draft things, review things, audit things, look for bugs, do automated testing, things of that nature, not, run 24/7 and vibe code, God knows what. So we have looked at using a more autonomous AI system for like analytics and getting, data from, social media activity, things of that are more like data capture, data analysis type things, maybe some on-chain analytics as well in the future. So there may be a potential for using like truly autonomous AI to do lower risk stuff like that. But yeah, we're not using autonomous 24/7 AI for any sort of development. I'd say maybe the one exception would be for very clearly defined things like one of the things I'm working on the ZK prover side is translating CUDA code into running on AMD GPUs using PIP and ROCm, and also trying to translate it into Intel GPU kernels, although Intel doesn't give a lot of architectural specifications, so it's pretty hard to optimize stuff for their GPU platforms. But things like that are very contained jobs where you can't let an AI run 24/7 because you still need to be checking on it, making sure it's doing things that are reasonable. And if you let an AI go 24/7, even on a relatively simple task with a well-defined goal, a lot of times it will find, let's say, creative solutions to that goal. Like we got the GPU kernel to run in 0 seconds because it's now doing nothing. We've achieved all of our optimization targets. But things like that are lower risk, and there's very clearly defined success criteria that the AI can automatically test and iterate and compare against. To some extent, we have some stuff running, or at least I have some stuff running autonomously that does stuff like that, like trying to optimize GPU kernels. But for any major, critical development, it's all human guided, even if AI is being used as an assistant for some things. It's with very careful human oversight and review, which isn't the kind of thing you can just set and forget and run 24/7. But for data analytics and stuff like that, we are exploring using a more autonomous AI infrastructure for that, because it's very low risk, and basically the only risk is you get, bad data on a social media trend or something like that. And obviously there'd be human review before we actually act on that data. So it's not those are potential candidates where we could use that sort of a system.
Right. Let's see. Oh, 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 God damn it, Alpha. All right, hold on. I got a food related question from Alpha. Um, watermelon versus fruit verse. What the hell does that even mean? I see the question mark, but I guess is
What?
watermelon the best fruit? Is the question.
Kiwis are pretty good.
I'm gonna go with mangoes.
I really like unripe plums are my favorite. When they're like sour and like bites like an apple.
I'm gonna go pomegranate. I like those the best. Those are the best fruit.
They're difficult to eat. It's all seed.
It's all worth it though. Once you get them out, like the arrows out.
Ah, ah, I don't know. Oh, lychees, yeah.
These are good
Josh
too.
came in hot. Lychees are good. Lychee martinis are fucking delicious. All right. Let's see. That shockingly brings us to the end of questions this week. Is there anything else from the Amigos that would like to be asked? Otherwise, we we might be out of here shortly. I see Alpha and Alex typing, but they might just be zinging each other. Something ZK something. Thanks, Josh. What
Speaking of ZK, no.
the speaking of ZK, yeah. Good God. Oh, we'll schedule like a fifth AMA regarding ZK provability soon. Okay, wait. Oh, God damn it, Mudakon. Here we go. All right, wait. Is ZK the end game, or is there something better?
It depends on the context. So I guess there's within ZK, are there going to be improvements to ZK algorithms, either from performance or security perspective? And obviously the answer to that would be yes, there's going to be, new breakthroughs and better ZK proving systems that are, more efficient to run. There's people working on uh, accelerated hardware designs for ZK proving. So once when you look at like Bitcoin proof of work, it's always been double SHA-256, right? And so it was very easy for somebody to go and build an ASIC. One, it's a very simple chip, but also two, there was a guarantee that, realistically, the Bitcoin proof of work algorithm is probably not going to change in the useful life cycle of the ASIC chip. Whereas for, the ZK side, there's definitely teams working on accelerated hardware for ZK, but the problem is that whenever there's a new innovation in ZK proving algorithms, the actual underlying computations that you need to do are shifting under your feet. And so the space is still a little early for being able to commit a lot of capital to actually designing and taping out an ASIC and getting it shipped and people using it. By the time you get an ASIC to people's doors, there's a good chance that there's another ZK algorithm that people want to use that doesn't work with that sort of an ASIC design. So from improvements in the ZK landscape, definitely going to continue happening. There's a lot of cool stuff on the even sort of near-term horizon. So there's some work, if you're interested in some of the optimization side, around using Vinius, which is a much more binary computer friendly algorithm versus a lot of what ZK algorithms are currently doing with curves they're operating over and the types of numbers and data structures they need to use for that. There's also going to be improvements to the actual ZK VM systems, maybe targeting different architectures or targeting improvements that are maybe looking at getting more precompiles or similar like custom circuits for a lot of cryptography accelerated beyond kind of the bare minimum that we have today. So from that perspective, ZK itself is going to continue evolving for probably very long into the future. Beyond ZK, there's some stuff that ZK can't do that's kind of in the realm of ZK or private compute, verifiable compute, full cryptographic tricks that open new doors to different types of protocol designs. So probably the closest one on the horizon would be FHE, or fully homomorphic encryption. So ZK is all about proving a computation is correct without needing to reveal the input data and being able to verify the proofs in a very quick and succinct format. So small data footprint, fast algorithmic verification. But it can't handle stuff like being able to do computations over encrypted data. And so FHE lets you do basically outsource computations. And I use the term outsource kind of in air quotes because there's the original design, or the original idea was, if you wanted to do some complex computation, but you don't have the hardware to run it, you could farm it out to a cloud, but that cloud could do it in FHE. And so they would not actually see your underlying data or what you're computing, even though they'd be able to do the computation for you. But the reality is that, at least at the current moment, FHE is so computationally expensive, on the order of 3 to 4 orders of magnitude, that the economics just don't make sense for, outsourcing, say, video rendering or some, complex database query or something. But where it is interesting is potentially being used in on-chain use cases where you can have encrypted data, like, say, votes for a proposal in a DAO or something like that, where the system, the smart contracts, or it can be, offloaded off-chain, and then the FHE calculations can be ZK proven on-chain, which adds additional orders of magnitude to the computational complexity, but would let you potentially do computations over encrypted data from multiple participants, which is interesting. The current state of FHE, as far as I'm aware, and I've been following it as closely as ZK because it is a little further from being really practical, is that it basically devolves into an MPC style setup. So even though the computations over the private inputs, the private encrypted inputs, can be done by anyone, the actual output of the computation needs to be decrypted by a group, and that group is the same group that could decrypt the original inputs. And so there's probably, I'm sure there's people working on improvements that may be able to avoid that. There's also some cryptographic tricks that could be combined with FHE that would allow selective decryption of outputs in a way that you could use FHE and never have a group that can actually decrypt the original inputs, but they can still compute over them and then output specific things from the algorithm in plain text. I don't think there's any production-ready audited systems that are doing that, but it's an active area of cryptographic research. Longer term, there's something really cool called witness encryption, which is the idea of normally encryption works based on a private key, right? So you encrypt data with a private key, and then you can decrypt it with a private key. Or you can do public-private key encryption. You can encrypt data to a public key, like is used for TLS whenever you browse the web, and then it can be decrypted by whoever holds the private key. The idea of witness encryption is that you can instead encrypt something to a mathematical problem, and it can only be decrypted by somebody who can solve the mathematical problem. So a toy example that's often given is encrypting the private keys to a Bitcoin address and encrypting it to the solution to a really hard Sudoku puzzle. And then whoever can solve the Sudoku puzzle can decrypt the actual original Bitcoin private key, and nobody knows it except whoever originally encrypted it, which could be some sort of MPC or threshold setup, so it could be made relatively secure. And if we actually had practical witness encryption, that could be used as a really cool, efficient way to design bridging protocols or tunneling protocols. And so you could basically encrypt private keys that are generated in a sharded fashion or even generated inside of an FHE system, and then potentially encrypt them to a witness, which itself is a mathematical problem of a ZK proof of the current state of the chain. So you could have solving the ZK proof be the providing a valid ZK proof be the mathematical puzzle that you witness encrypt sharded generated private keys to. And so there's some interesting things you can do with that. But as of today, there's no actual version of witness encryption that works. The only quote unquote version of witness encryption that anyone's actually either running in production or proposing to run in production is effectively emulating witness encryption with MPC, which just evolves into essentially a multi-sig type setup. And so there's beyond ZK, I'd say on the horizon, FHE is going to be interesting, especially if we can get selectively decryptable outputs working in a reasonably efficient manner, because it lets you do cool things like, again, completely private on-chain voting, potentially other use cases like private DeFi that's still settled. You can do complex contract interactions. Theoretically, again, there's additional complexity in this sort of a system that's not just plain counting votes or something very simple, but using FHE for truly private, decentralized DeFi compute. So being able to have people interact with DEXs or lending protocols or do cross-chain transactions and have that all done under FHE with, again, selective disclosure could reveal state changes of aggregate FHE calculations or something. So cool stuff in that area. I'm less familiar with FHE, obviously, because it's pretty far from production. So there's not a light at the end of the tunnel for implementing any FHE systems into our current stack, but it's something that's interesting. And then further out, if it ever happens, witness encryption could also open the door to some new cool bridging technologies. So that's kind of what comes after ZK. So ZK is great, but it has some limitations, and there are other really cool kind of ZK-esque areas of active cryptographic research that could enable other use cases that ZK on its own doesn't directly solve, or only solves in very specific cases.
Let us see. I believe that brings us to the end of questions for the week. So with that, I believe we are going to wrap this up. So thank you to everyone who came and attended Midweek with Max this week. An extra special thank you to our community moderation team. And again, congrats to Mudakon on joining the Builders channel. I really think other folks should start applying for the builder role, because it's going to get pretty cool really soon. So yeah. Also, the creative channels, or excuse me, the creative roles are still available, as is the beta testers role, and there should be some big things happening there soon. So with that, let me turn it over to Max and team for outros, and I will see y'all soon.
All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for attending another week. Stay tuned for the pop payouts algorithm, which we should be shipping very shortly now that we have full DevOps capacity this week. Also, like Rick mentioned, definitely if you're interested in being the first to try out some of the new cool stuff we're working on, join the beta testers channel. We have a couple, not sure what's going to ship first, but a couple cool things in the pipeline that will go to that group first. And so if you want to play with the Fast Bridge or the ZK proving marketplace and the ZK miner, as we're calling it, or further out into the future, some of the HBit VM stuff, definitely make sure you join the beta testers channel. And with that, I think we will see everyone next week or on the AI happy hour that we're doing sometime on Friday.
Yeah, just finding out some schedules may be in flux. We're going to be ironing out the exact time for that and providing an announcement in the very near future. So thank you, guys.
All right. Take care, amigos. We will see you all soon. Thank you so much for everything, and stay tuned. Take care.
All right, cheers. See everyone next week.